The acrid stench of spray paint hit me before I even opened my front door. My freshly painted HOMA.com shade of coastal blues, now scarred by streaks of bright orange graffiti that screamed illegal. Color. My heart pounded as neighbors peeked from their blinds, whispering, watching me stand in the ruins of what had been my pride. Behind it all stood Karen, the HOA president, smirking with folded arms, declaring my home a violation of community standards. She claimed my color ruined the neighborhood, that I had brought shame to our perfect street. What said didn't he know was that I wasn't just another homeowner. Years ago, I had been the architect of the very HOA rules she thought she controlled, and buried in those dusty binders was a power she could never imagine. But the neighborhood was about to find out. Before this nightmare, my house had been my sanctuary. I bought it after years of long shifts, saving every dollar for a safe place to raise my family. The porch was where my daughter took her first steps, the kitchen where we laughed through burnt dinners, the backyard where summer nights ended with fireflies and laughter. These omwassen, the paint on wood it, was memory carved into walls. That's why I chose the blue. It matched the ocean where I first proposed to my wife, a symbol of calm and resilience. Karen didn't see that. To her, it was defiance. And she wasn't alone. The HOA board echoed her arrogance, whispering about fines, even foreclosure. Then came their first strike. A letter taped to my door, demanding thousands in penalties or further action. My neighbors gasped at the bold move, but I stayed quiet, because they had no idea who they were provoking. The war escalated quickly. Every morning brought a new torment. A thick envelope of fines shoved into my mailbox. Anonymous complaints filed about unsightly garbage bins that weren't even mine. Once, a neighbor confided that Karen had stood on the corner, spreading rumors that I was bankrupt, that my family would soon be evicted. One night, I woke to the sour smell of gasoline near my fence. Someone had poured it, hoping to scare me with the threat of fire. My daughter cried at the scratching sounds on her windows, where eggshells hardened into a sticky crust. And through it all, Karen strutted like a queen, her voice shrill as she promised she would win. The street began to split. Some whispered support. Others kept silent out of fear. But while they harassed, I prepared, and my preparation was about to surface. What no one remembered was simple. Years ago, before moving away for work, I had been the HOA's legal consultant. I had drafted the bylaws, word by word, clause by clause, every obscure section, every loophole, where am mine, and now I began to use them. Quietly, I gathered proof. Photos of vandalism, screenshots of Karen's emails, testimonies from neighbors too afraid to speak aloud. My old law colleagues, still loyal, offered advice late at night. Even the local news reporter, bored of soft stories, perked up when I hinted at corruption. At community gatherings, I remained calm, but my silence made others curious. Neighbors began asking, what's really going on? And soon, whispers turned into murmurs of doubt against Karen. The stage was set, the neighborhood was watching, and the truth was ready to erupt. Karen, desperate to crush me, called an emergency HOA meeting. They gathered in the community hall, smug and certain, and announced their boldest move yet, immediate foreclosure proceedings against my home. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Papers were slammed onto the table, signatures forged, votes faked, but they had overplayed their hand. I rose, holding my own stack of documents, original bylaws with my signature, proof of illegal actions, and witness statements. Cameras flashed as the reporter I had contacted rolled her feed live. The silence broke into chaos when I revealed that Karen herself was in violation. Unapproved extensions on her home, embezzled HOA funds, and a direct breach of the very laws she claimed to enforce. The Queen's throne shook, and her empire of arrogance began to crumble. The fallout was swift and merciless. Karen was escorted from the hall in handcuffs, her shrill protests drowned by the sound of neighbors cheering. The HOA board dissolved under investigation, their corruption exposed to the entire county. My fines vanished like smoke, and the color of my home peaceful blue was forever protected, written into the amended bylaws as a symbol of resilience. But my victory wasn't just legal. Families who once stayed silent now stood together, turning the street into a true community again. Kids played without fear, neighbors shared meals, and property values soared. I even started a small charity with the settlement funds, dedicated to protecting homeowners from HOA abuse. As the sun set, I sat on my porch, the house glowing in golden light, my daughter laughing freely. And now I ask you, have you ever faced a Karen like this? What would you do? Subscribe for more HOA justice.